Welcome to Frankly Speaking Hurricanes Football with your host, Frank Mazdu. I'm here with my brother, Robert Powell, be a Cane, and we're here to discuss the debacle that took place at the stadium on Saturday. We have a lot to talk about, and I wanted to get Robert's input. We were both at the game, obviously very disappointed at the outcome and at the performance. And we have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Robert to give us his overall thoughts on the game to basically encapsulate what you took away, how we started and how we finished, and your overall thoughts. Then we'll get into the meat and potatoes, specifically of some of the things that we saw on the field that were very alarming and concerning. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. First of all, what's up, Hurricane Nation? I know a lot of us out there hurting right now. And I just want to start off by taking my hat off to Michigan State. They played an excellent game. You definitely saw them basically, there were mistakes, but nothing that crippled them. So hats off to Michigan State and congratulations on the good win. On the Miami Hurricane side, there are troubling indicators out there. And it's more than what we see on the field. There are coaching things that are occurring. And I think anyone who has been following football on any level would conclude that there are hiccups in the way these games are being managed, the decisions that are being made, or decisions that's not being made. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. But there are mistakes that are being made that clearly align with coaching deficiencies. Let me just say that. When you see game after game, players not tackling, right? I read an article, I haven't looked up the stats, but we are probably at the bottom of tackling stats, the worst D1 squad out there when it comes to tackling. Being at the game and watching the game afterwards, several missed tackles, decisions at the point of attack, all those things is telling me that there's something that is missing from coaching these boys up. So when you come in from high school, I would think that if you're recruiting 4 or 5 stars, 2 or 3 years, we've had top 11 or so recruiting classes. These guys know how to tackle, right? Now, when you get to the college level, you have to coach them up because there's some things you have to do, a little bit differently. The talent is better. The speed is faster. The guys are stronger. So your tackling must be an area of focus. I don't know if it is an area of focus at this point. So that's one. We'll dive in some more of that later. I think that making decisions based on the performance of key players at a coaching level is not being made. We've talked, Frankie, about some of the top programs that if we would have witnessed, or if some of those programs would have witnessed some of the deficiencies by some of our key players, they probably wouldn't have seen the rest of the game. We would have gone to other folks because there was something wrong. And I'm going to give a stat later about one of our star players and how it's a clear indication that something was wrong, right? Something was wrong, but no decision was made. Well, a decision was made. It just wasn't the correct decision, in my opinion. We started the game, I think, decently, but as you begin to pile up turnovers, and we're not as good, or any team, you have 4 turnovers, regardless of how the turnovers happen, you change the momentum, you miss the opportunity to score, you give the ball over to the opponent, and out of 4, they will either flip the field on you or they will score. right? So we're not good enough to overcome 4 turnovers. I don't think any school is out there good enough to overcome. Maybe Alabama, maybe 4 turnovers are just critical. So I think game management, making decisions, turnovers, decisions in prepping for the game or how they're being prepped. I think tackling, that's basic. That's basic when it comes to football, man. I mean, you must be able to tackle. If you can't tackle, then you shouldn't be on the field. You shouldn't be on the field. I think Michigan gave us the swing passes. That's why our totals probably was somewhat low of actual our running. Our yardage of your running was very low. I don't even think we got into triple digits. I think it was something like 50 yards or so.
Yeah. I think it was 54, 52.
Okay.
47.
Yeah. So it wasn't many yards there, but yet when you throw those swing passes, those are like running plays or stretch running plays. So they figured that out. But there was a turning point with one of our key players where it was hard to even get the ball out to the sidelines. And we'll talk about that later. So those are the 3 things that, from a coaching perspective: tackling, decision-making, overall preparation. So, 3 or 4 things that I think revealed itself. It wasn't only in this game. I think that this was the 3rd game that those things were revealed, because we weren't tackling. In the Alabama game, we missed a lot of tackles. App State missed a lot of tackles. This game, we missed a lot of tackles. Once again, congratulations to Michigan State. Did a great job. However, we must take accountability and own up to those things that are within our control. And tackling is definitely one of those things. So, Frankie, that at a high level, we'll get into more details in a moment. But that's my view. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say.
Well, here's a stat that kind of puts it in perspective. Over the last 5 games, we're 1-4. We lost the last 2 games of last season. We lost 2 games this season. We won 1 over App State, so we're 1-4. Now, that kind of puts it in perspective. We ended poorly and we start poorly. So my concern, I have several concerns. One of them is D'Eriq King was obviously hurt during the game, may have even come in hurt before the game, for all we know. Okay. While we were at the game, they took him down into the tunnel and he came back out. And after the game, he had a brace on his wrist and on his hand, and he had a shoulder injury apparently. So I have an issue with the coaching when it comes to that. If you don't have a 4-star, you have 2 4-stars, highly recruited 4-stars on the bench. Jake Garcia, who's supposed to be a phenomenal player, TBD, who's been in the system now for 2 years, going on 2 years now. So those guys have to be ready to step in and play. Now, I feel that there is a borderline worship of some of these players like D'Eriq King. Now, that guy's got the heart of a lion. Love the kid, but you're not doing him any favors by putting him out there when he's injured and when he's hurt. You have to make the adult decision and say, we need to sit you when he's not performing. I hearken back to Jalen Hurst and the Alabama game, and I don't know if it was Clemson or who it was they were playing. Here you had a starter who'd been in the program for 2 years, was 28-2, 28-3. He had earned his stripes. If ever there was a guy who earned the pedigree of seniority, okay, and was untouchable, he was pulled in the second half of an SEC championship game that they had to win to get to a national championship game, just because he wasn't moving the team. It wasn't even like he was having a poor performance. He didn't even I don't recall him even throwing a pick in that game. He just wasn't making any plays. And we aren't Alabama. And Alabama and Nick Saban saw it fit to pull him out of the game. So whether he's playing poorly, he's hurt, he's injured, you need a spark. Nick Saban pulled him out just because he needed a spark. You need to put somebody in there. Now, that tells me several things. Either you are so enamored with your quarterback and you feel you owe him, and he's got senior, and so your loyalty to him is larger than your loyalty to the team, or you don't have anybody backing them up. They can run the offense, because the only concern you should have is, can I put somebody in there that can actually run the offense that we're playing? So right off the bat, that's a major concern for me. They've done a good job of moving some players in and out of the offensive line and in that rotation because they weren't performing. Donaldson, who was one of our best players, was pulled. Then he was brought back in due to injury. Jalen Rivers was pulled out of the game. Our best offensive guard, who's a redshirt freshman. So there were some offensive line issues. However, in focusing on the game, looking through the binoculars and watching it, there were holes. The offensive line did have moments where they got a good push, and Cam Harris, who's supposed to be our superstar running back, couldn't find a hole. Now, if you look at the flip side of the ball with Michigan State, one of the issues with their running back, we did a pretty good job keeping him in check. But guess what? Sooner or later, he broke and made some plays on his own. He reversed field, he cut back, cut against the grain, found holes on his own because his field vision is far superior to what we have on the field, okay? So if we're gonna be totally honest and frank and fair to the team, you have to evaluate each player. Granted, there are some coaching issues, but it's not all coaching by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lack of focus on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, and I'll give you a great example. And you mentioned it to me, Robert. You were 100% right. Will Mallory. Will Mallory was supposed to be the tight end, the senior guy, the guy that's coming in that's supposed to be dependable. You've said it all along since last year. You don't think he's that great an athlete or that great a player, and he drops a touchdown in the end zone. They flip the field, go back and score. I don't know if it's I think it was a touchdown. So that's a 14-point swing when he had a touchdown in the end zone. Okay. Again, our offensive line, we were getting pressure on the offensive tackles, but you and I both agreed there were times when King had plenty of time to throw the ball and couldn't find a player downfield. We were looking from up in the stadium and we could spot 2 or 3 guys open that he could go to. So he's not seeing the field for whatever reason it is. Maybe it's that he's still injured, he's fearful, and he took off quite a bit. And I give the guy tremendous credit for his heart, but you're not doing him any service by allowing him to get hurt and injured and his body's breaking down. So either you don't have a backup quarterback and you've been bluffing us all along that you think is capable of going in and bailing you out and running the plays that you need to run. And by the way, on the offensive side of the ball, I think they only have 15 plays. I don't see anything where it's all that complicated. Okay, I don't, so you should have somebody that can come in like Jake Garcia or TVD and take over. I did see him warming up on the sideline. So let's start there. Here's my focus. If I were looking at the team, I don't care that the kid is a redshirt freshman and Cody Brown. Harris would be the backup. I mean, let's get real. You got to find somebody who can find a hole. He's got to be able to make a yard or two on his own, whoever it is. Harris, for whatever reason, there's not the vision. If there's a hole, that's great. If he's running behind Alabama's line, he'll do fine. He'll get into the secondary. He'll get into at least to the linebacker side, and then they'll bring him down because he goes down pretty easy. Okay. On the wide receiver side, okay, Harley drops balls. It's about time to put Restrepo in there and put Harley as the backup. I don't care that he's a senior. I don't care that he's been in your program for 3 years. By the way, if he's been there for 3 years, he is what he is. You should know who he is by now. So the loyalty he may be quicker, he may be more athletic, but he doesn't hold on to the ball. The teams that have beaten us have players that are not as athletic, not as quick, but don't make mistakes. So I think that's a big thing. You've got the kid Arroyo. Arroyo is showing some flashes. I would put Arroyo in there, and I'd be giving him the lion's share of snaps on the ball. So those are some of the changes that I would make on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, and we'll talk about that later, there's a lack of discipline. There's some confusion. We had penalties, and that's all on coaching. There had to have been about, 7, 8 penalties in the game? Maybe not, and at the most inopportune times. Special teams play. We had some issues with special teams play as well. So I look at the entire performance. Yes, there were some coaching issues, but I think we have some personnel issues. And I think as a coach, I got to tell you, and again, I'm old school, so I'll give you that. And we have, different talent coming up and different types of kids. But Nick Saban is an old school coach. Okay. All these coaches that are succeeding, Ohio State, the guys over in Portland now with Cristobal, Alabama, Georgia, they're old school coaches. They come in, and if you're not playing, you're sitting. They're not afraid to sit a player down. They're not afraid to put in a freshman and let them play. And I think the key is that we have to look and say that nobody's job, including De'Aaron King, is safe on this team unless you perform, including the head coach. You and I are going to get into this now pretty soon too. There's talk about changing out the coach. And listen, how can you defend a 1-5 record after 2 years? Because we all agree talent is there. Now, how good is the talent? I don't know. Against a Michigan State, I'm fairly confident that our talent is better than theirs. Okay, they couldn't run past. We have a faster team, but they have a more disciplined team, and what I mean by discipline is they don't make mistakes, they play well, and they stick to their plan. And at running back, you and I talked about this. They have a more talented running back. I take the kid from Michigan State 9 times out of 10 over Cam Harris in any game. Okay, so and we got to be real. The quarterback, he played better than De'Aaron King, but De'Aaron King, it may be because he was hurt. And love De'Aaron King, and I give him a lot of credit. But there were some things in this game that are foreboding, and that if you don't make these corrections quickly, and to your point, Robert, you said the next game is a game. It's a light enough game as far as the opponent that we can go ahead and start putting in young guys. James Williams, the safety. That's a 5-star safety that flashed during the game. As a matter of fact, one of the plays that he flashed, you and I are going to go over because I got it queued up over here to share it with the audience, okay? Which is inexplicable. So we're bringing it up because I'm hoping somebody out there can explain how this play took place. This has made it on Facebook. It's all over the place. We need to know what's going on. Explain it so that a logical person can look at it and say, this is what this man was thinking. But that play is a microcosm of what happened in the game. Okay, let's just be real about that. So were there coaching deficiencies? Check the box. Was the offensive line perfect, but were they good enough to win? Yes, they drove the ball. Was our defense good enough to win? Yes, but I'll tell you something else that's very concerning. The defense, which now we have a deep rotation of talented players who are accustomed to the heat in the Miami sun. Okay, so we shouldn't have a letdown because we're constantly rotating players. Okay, they're doing gassers, they're running in the sand pits. We hear all about this stuff. Okay, so how is it that in the third and fourth quarter, when the time of possession is about equal, they were at about 26, 28 minutes. It was pretty equal, that they get run out of the stadium and they put up 21 points in the third and fourth quarter against that defense. Okay, it's almost like they gave up. I don't want to say that, but it's like they just gave up. So the highlight of the game, the player of the game, was the field goal kicker who kicked the 55-yard field goal. That was, and he missed one in the game. Okay, but that 55-yarder, that was the player of the game. So my question is, if you are the coach, I can tell you right now, I can think of at least 7 guys that, it's one of those things where you say, bench them, okay? And I like the kids. I love the kids, all right? But if they're not performing, and if it's all about the relationship and lovey-dovey and, we're going to correct this, and don't give me all that happy talk, because right now it's all happy talk, because, it's all about, unity, this and that. No, you've got to do, what about Ed Reed? Remember that those halftime tirades that he would have with the team when they were performing poorly? They wouldn't stand for it. I don't see any of that on this team. What I see is, we're gonna work on it next week. We got to work on this. When are you gonna stop working on shit and actually do it? I'm sorry. It's time. It is time. So I love Manny Diaz. I like the coaching additions that he made. It's early in the season. but I can tell you, this has the hallmarks of a debacle of monumental proportions. And they are sitting with 6 recruits in this class, because this was the year that we said, we're going to take it. We're going to be Alabama. We're going to be, and I agree with that. Be very selective in the players you choose. But if this thing goes south into the ACC season, and by the way, North Carolina just beat Virginia on Saturday. Okay. So North Carolina's got, is back on track, and they beat a quality opponent. And I would tell you that Virginia's, in my opinion, is a better opponent than Michigan State. Michigan State's a good team, but they're not North Carolina. They're not Virginia. I mean, I'm telling you, I agree with you. When they get into the meat and potatoes of the ACC, if they don't have this corrected, they're going to drop 3 or 4 games in the ACC. They will become Florida State when they don't have to be, with all this talent. So my question is to you, what do you think that they're going to do? And what do you think Diaz is going to do? And how would you correct these situations? I'll tell you right now, D'Eriq King would not be playing in the next game if I were the coach. He's gotten enough. He's been banged up enough that one of the new starters on that offense would be Tyler Van Dyke or Jake. Pick them. Whichever one of the two you feel the most comfortable with. For me, I think Jake Garcia's got the most upside, but he's a true freshman. Here's my contention. If a true freshman comes into camp and he fights your anointed starter to a draw in spring and fall camp, then your true freshman's a better quarterback than the guy you had than the guy you had a year ago. Okay, and it's the same thing that happened in North Carolina when they put that true freshman in. So let's see what happens, but battle it out. I'm good with either one of the two of them, to be honest with you. I want to see a change, and I want to see a change at wide receiver. Get Wiggins, I don't care. Get Wiggins out, get Harley out, get Estrepo in, get the guys that want to play and that are going to focus mentally on the game and put a hot seat underneath every player on that offense and defense. And I do not want to hear another press conference where I want to congratulate Michigan State for, doing a great job out there in the football field. We got hats off to them. Bullshit. I want to see Miami, coming up and say, we performed to an acceptable level. He has to become more like Nick Saban. If you win by 50 points, no, we didn't do it. We put it all together. No, we got things to work on. That was a challenging opponent, blah, 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 blah. Keep working on it, but don't ever concede. Okay. And I think that's the issue. I think these guys, I hate to say it, but mentally, our team is soft and the leadership comes from the top. And if there's not a fear that you're going to be benched or that you're going to be put out, you're going to put out there, you're not going to see the field again. And I don't care if you're a junior. I don't give a rat's ass if you're a junior or a senior. If you can't compete with the freshmen and sophomores that are on the field, then sit your ass down. That's it. He's got to let it loose, because I'll tell you what, if he don't do it, the next guy that comes in to coach a team, he's sure as hell going to do it. Okay. Because it's not going to be one of these, kumbaya, we got beat, let's unite, all that kind of stuff. I'm for the unity stuff, but the unity with players that are totally committed to mistake-free football, to winning, that they're going to do their job, that they're focused. So anyway, I said my speech. I'm sorry about that. I ran long.
No, brother. That was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. I spoke to you early this morning. I think we were on the horn early this morning, and you let it go, and you're still full of fire, and rightfully so. I mean, I think Hurricane Nation, all of our listeners are in that spot, and I think you may have spoke for many of them. You definitely spoke for me about making those decisions. And before you move on to the next segment here, let me share this with you. So I had to dig this out, right? So let's go back to King, right? Heart of a lion. But let's talk about the coaching, making a decision. Whenever you ask a player, D1 level, even at the high school level, hey son, can you go? What are they gonna say? Yeah, coach, I can go. Okay, now you just came in from the locker room. You sure that shoulder? You dove for those 2 yards. You sure? Yeah, I think that happened in the third quarter. So listen to the stats after that play.
After
right?
the injury.
After the injury, I had to dig this out. So we all know he did 64%. Wow, good numbers. 38 of 59, 30%. First half, this was before the injury. He was 20 of 24 at 83%.
Wow.
20 of 24. Now, I can't put exactly where, boom, this all, but it happened in the third quarter. But listen to his stats in the second half. He goes from an 83% completion to 18 of 35, 51%.
Yes.
Those numbers didn't creep up.
Robert, you pointed it out in the game. Robert, you were the one.
You saw it too.
Yeah, but you were saying, look, why is he throwing the ball short? Why is he throwing it high?
The nose of the ball was going into the dirt. There was one swing pass. I think Rambo or whoever it was had to put their knee almost to the center of the earth to catch the ball. So if we're able to see this and these numbers begin to show themselves, well, even if you don't know the numbers, the performance itself, now the head coach has to make a decision. I spoke in the opening about the willingness to make those decisions. Hey, son, listen, King, you're a warrior. You say you're ready to go, but I'm making a decision. Son, give me your helmet.
That's it.
All right. That shoulder, the last 4 passes, the 4 out of 6 passes were in the dirt. The decision is made. You put Taylor Van Dyke. He's been in the program for 2 years. All those years he's been under Lashley. He should know the playbook. He should be able to step right in and lead that offense. All right. 83% first half, 51%. You talking 30 percentage points that he dropped in the second half. And I suspect most of that happened after the injury. So somewhere in the third quarter, it started going downhill as far as his accuracy. So when you look at numbers and you look at actual performance on the field, decisions need to be made. You used the example of, that game. I think it was Alabama and Georgia. I think, but it wasn't that the guy was messing up. This is not what we planned. You're missing opportunities. Right. You're not hitting the guy. Yes, we're winning. Yes, you appear to be in control, but you're not doing it as we're drawing up or to the way that I like it as a head coach. And pulled them.
Yes.
And pulled them. That made every talk show, everything. But guess what? He was an absolute genius. The other kid comes in, prepared, boom, 2 or 3 touchdowns. All right. So my opening statement about the star player and I'm in agreement with you. If there's a perfect time to do it, it's now. You're going into this game next Saturday. You need to get your backup some quality playing time. Give King time to heal.
Yes.
Our very first session, I asked you, I said, Frankie, in your heart of hearts, soul of souls, do you believe King is ready? This is before they even played Alabama. And we had a long discussion about that. I didn't think he was ready. I think he was like maybe 70%. Right? And when you have an injury like that, your mind is all over the place. And he didn't practice. He didn't do spring ball. He was on the sideline coaching. They got headlines. Oh, you had the coach. We don't need another coach. We need you as a quarterback. So his timing, his ability to run all that, and now he's injured with the shoulder or whatever part of his arms are. Rest him. Because guess what? You got a short week. Thursday, you go into ACC play with Virginia.
Oh, geez.
And I don't care who it is, you're going to get hit.
Yes.
Something is going to happen in that game.
But Robert, I got to ask you a question. Think back to what you just said, because you made some fantastic points. In that Alabama game, I do believe they were trailing at halftime when they pulled Hurst out. But it wasn't because he was playing a bad game. He didn't have any turnovers from what I can remember, and he was missing some open players. He was his completion percentage was way down. But here's the key to that game. Saban pulled the trigger because he had a backup that had been coached up enough to know the playbook to get in. Now, if the reason King wasn't sat down is because Tyler Van Dyke doesn't have command of the playbook, that's the coach's fault.
That's coaching.
Okay. And the only excuse you could have for that is that you don't feel comfortable putting him in because he doesn't have command of the playbook. Okay. And that, because that's just, or you're so loyal to your starting quarterback that him telling you he can go. It reminded me of that, that British show, Monty Python, where the guy's getting his limbs chopped off and he says, I can go, I got one good arm, I got one good leg, let me in. And so, King will always go because he's a warrior. Okay. Just like you said, the kid's got a heart of a lion, but you hurt him. You did him a disservice. You set him back. If you had sat him, who knows, maybe that injury wouldn't be as bad as it might be tomorrow. We don't know, but you did him a disservice and you did the team a disservice. So I'm with you. I agree with you 100%. You have to have the balls to make the calls. That's the key. You have to have the balls to make the calls. And I wonder if this coaching staff has the balls to make the calls.
Well, the answer to that question is right now, no, but we'll see for Saturday. We'll see for Saturday because that call needs to be made. And it is not to bench, or I don't even want to use the word bench.
No.
To allow King to rest up, to heal. All right. You don't need him you shouldn't need him for this game. If you do need him, then you can bring him in, but get Tyler Van Dyke some quality reps now. Now's the time. You go into Central Connecticut. They're coming here. King is banged up. And you have a short week. So would you want to give him 10 days or so he's ready to go when ACC play starts Thursday night, national television?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think now if they run King out on this game, I don't know what to say. I don't understand the rationale.
I'll tell you what it is. They have no confidence in the backup. That's number one. If they run King out, number two, they're coaching. They're so worried about managing the offense and scoring I can't believe that they would not let King sit for the game. I don't care if King is begging you to go in. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to bet. He's going to get himself right for the game. He's going to beg you, but you have to have the fortitude to tell him, listen, it's not about performance. It's about you're nicked up, and we want you ready for the ACC, and we got to put Tyler. And as a matter of fact, what they should do is they should groom Tyler Van Dyke and Jake Garcia for this game, and they should split reps. They should split reps in this game if you can. They should split reps. And you know what? Harris should sit, and you should see this kid Brown get the ball and work them between. That Brown didn't have a carry in the game. What does that tell you? That because what I understand, and again, I'm probably wrong, but their playbook is fairly. We're looking at 15 different plays maybe that they're running. So that's a big issue. So we've got to see that happen. And I'm with you. I agree. But I want to go ahead now and share our screen, because I want to share with you, and you sent it to me. So
yeah, let's talk about this. I know everyone's waiting on this.
Yes, I want to share my screen.
Let's get to it.
Here's how I analyze this. There is no defensive scheme that I'm aware of. But again, I'm a novice. I don't know. There could be. But I'm not aware of a defensive scheme where you send your safety and you tell them, listen, if the back or the wide receiver cuts down the lane, just run right past him and hit the wide receiver, because we got a linebacker that's going to trail you, that's going to make the tackle. Okay, so Gervin Hall is an exceptional player. He played well in the game. He made a lot of tackles. I like the kid. My heart goes out to the kid. But here's my issue. My issue is I need to know, or if I were the coach, I would need to know, what were you thinking? Okay. Now,
know it.
the answer I wasn't thinking isn't an answer, because when I see this play, I see the safety trail him, okay, down the line of scrimmage and then shoot up the gap. All right. And he's within 2 feet of the player, the ball handler, and then he deviates away to hit the wide receiver. Now, you remember in that play, we had Williams chase that guy down 30 yards down the field and save a touchdown. He was our other safety in there. So I don't know how you explain this play. I would like somebody to teach me, okay, what defensive call would allow a player to bypass the runner, take on, first of all, he squared up against the runner. In other words, he wasn't running parallel. He turned and squared up against the runner. Helmet to helmet, they're looking at each other, okay? Then
run it again.
Okay, then at the last second, he turns around. Watch, here we go.
Oh, my.
Right there.
He sure did. He looked at him right in the eye.
He looked at him right in the eye, eyeball to eyeball. And he said, I'm not going to tackle you. I'm going to go hit the wide receiver. And
who was out of the play? Who was out of the play?
Who was out of the wide receiver was probably dumbfounded. He's like, what? Because
what do you do?
Exactly. So I'm going to run this one more time. Let's take it back here. Okay. What I want you to see, and this is the thing that stunned me. Okay. Okay. Here, look, there he is right there. See, the receiver's got the ball in his hand. Right?
The other offensive receiver is nowhere in the play right now. He's out of the picture, literally.
In the picture. And look at Gurvan Hall. He's hauling ass towards the ball carrier. He's tracking him down. He's hauling ass towards the ball carrier. Now watch. Let's see if we can do this slowly. Okay, here he goes.
He's looking at him.
He's looking at him. He's
still looking at him. There's no doubt who has the ball. He's still looking at him.
Still looking at him. Watch this. Watch where he squares his shoulder. Here we go.
Oh my! There
it is.
They're less than a yard. They're less.
No. There it is. Look. He changes position.
Right there.
He makes a lateral cut. He sees him with the ball. He makes a lateral cut. He's like, I'm not going to touch you. Not only did he not tackle him, Robert, he didn't extend an arm. He didn't extend a leg. He didn't try and hit him. He just completely turned, okay, and hit the receiver. Let's back it up a little bit here. There you go. Look, there he goes turning to the receiver, who's like, look.
The receiver said, "What are you doing? What are you hitting me?"
Look at the feet. Look at his feet. The guy almost tripped over his feet. That's how close they were. Look at that.
That's how close he was.
And he didn't try to make the tackle. Now, we talked about Gurvan Hall. Here's my issue with that. He's not a guy who shies away from a tackle. I've seen Gurvan Hall make hits all over the field. He's a great tackler. He's probably one of our best tacklers. So I've got to ask the question, why? So what was going through your mind? Now, I'm going to ask you, what could possibly be going through his mind right there? Wait, before he turns. Look, he's looking at him right there. Look at that.
He's looking right at him.
No, look at his feet. He stopped to avoid contact. He's like, oh, wait, I got to get out of the way. Whoa, let me back up here. Look at this. I got to get out of the way. He's right there. He's right there. And here he goes. Boom. Now he gets his traction. He turned his hips. Let's see where his hips were. Okay, he's tracking him.
He's tracking him right there. He's tracking him.
Right? Stop. Oh, stop. I don't want to hit this guy. Okay, turn your hips. Turn your hips. Start to accelerate. Now he's turning his head to the right. I don't even want to see you. Okay, now he's going to this guy.
What?
I'm going to play it in real time now. It's hard. It's better to see it in slow motion. Here we go. Oh my God.
It hurts. It literally hurts.
So my question, and it's not to me, but it is a question. It's a question the coaches have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And let me stop this real quick. The coaches have to ask is, what are the possible solutions? Does the coach call a play that says, hey, bypass the runner? You're 16 inches away from him. Let him go. Hit the wide receiver who's out of the play. So that we can have our linebacker come and hit him, because the linebacker trails, the linebacker hits him 3 yards, tries to make a tackle 3 yards past this play. Past this play, the linebacker comes into motion. Let's see if we see him in this play. Watch where the linebacker comes in. Okay, he misses him. There comes the linebacker. Okay, let me back it up.
Total missed tackle.
Wait. Yeah, but the linebacker made the effort. In other words, the linebacker comes flying. He comes flying from wherever he is, and he tries to get him. Okay, but he missed the tackle. Where's Garvin's missed tackle? Where was the effort? Where was the, I don't know. And I like the kid, but there's something going on. And see, again, old school, if it's me, that kid doesn't play for a long time. That kid goes to the bench, because unless he can give me a good explanation as to why that play occurred, one that's plausible, and I can't think of one. Maybe there is one. Maybe it's a scheme in Manny Diaz's defense. I don't know. That could be it. I just never heard of such a thing. And if it is, you got to change your scheme. I mean, maybe that's what it is. You're going to tell a player, look, if you're in front of the ball carrier, let him go. I got somebody to clean it up. Makes no sense.
Yeah. We spent a good amount of time talking about this.
And credit to you, Robert. Credit to you for sending this to me. I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. When you sent it to me, I had to look at it. I've looked at it 100 times. When you sent it to me, I called you because I was stunned. I could not believe it, because I could not find a justification in my mind. I couldn't find a justification as to how do you justify that play. If you dive at the guy's feet and you miss, fine, bad effort. You throw out an arm bar, you miss, fine, bad effort. You try and trip him, you miss, or even you throw your ass down to the floor because you don't want to hit him because you're a coward. I get that. That's a mistake. Fine. But that was purposeful. That was intentional. That was, I am not going to touch this guy. I'm going to get out of his way. And it's not because he feared contact. That's my point. Garvin is not the type of guy to fear contact. So then what's going through his mind? I want to know. These are the questions I want to ask. And that's a microcosm of what's wrong with the program.
Yes.
There is a microcosm.
And and I can only speculate, right? Because I'm not in the kid's head. I can't. But those plays, and I was sharing this with you earlier, those plays, you practice over and over and over again. When you get that swing pass from that back or from the receiver, the first receiver that you're going to come in contact with is the blocking, right? You engage that block. All right. You engage the block. Now you and I think, well, do you force it to the outside or do you force it to the inside? I believe you try to force it to the inside because that's where your help is coming from. Mm-hmm. Right. So muscle memory, practice over and over and over again. He goes, linebacker, he believes is coming, or another safety. I think it's the linebacker because the other safety is the one that saved the touchdown. He goes, and out of muscle memory, and I know people are going to really jump all over me on this, he decides to block because he's thinking that guy is going to engage him, and the linebacker's coming down the line. He'll make the tackle, which even with that, I know, Frankie, you were all over me about this. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because the objective is not to engage. The objective is to tackle the guy.
Well, not just that. There's a reason they call that position safety. He's the last line of defense. Yeah. The other safety, the came from the other side of
the other hash.
The other hash. So my point is, to me, that's not plausible, okay, at all, because he was within 24 inches, 2 feet, maybe 2. He could reach out and touch him. As a matter of fact, he had to stop dead in his tracks to avoid hitting him. Avoid hitting him and turn his hips. So to me, I would bring the kid in if I were the head coach, and I would say, explain to me what happened. And it better be a great explanation. Now, it could be he got confused. I don't know, but I want to know the explanation. And regardless of the explanation, because I don't think there is a plausible one, I would sit him on the bench.
I agree.
That would be one of the changes I would make at the safeties. So
Yep.
anyway, I'm going to let that sit there. But any comments on? I mean, you brought it. You brought this. This is
Well, man, this was on ESPN. This was.
Are you kidding me?
No, it is. Listen, it hit the news wire so heavy. It is probably as popular as the cat scene, right? The cat that was hanging by his life, the one paw, just as popular. I mean, we're getting dogged because of this. We are absolutely getting dogged. And in summation, as you said before, this summarizes our season up to this point. And to me, this is a coaching thing as well as the player thing. What are we doing in practice that would have a kid to do that? Now, that's, coach and a player. Now, here we come. We talked about the decision that needs to be made. Are they going to make the decision to sit this kid? We can't afford to have a mental breakdown like this. A freshman, this guy's been playing, 3 years?
4
years. 4 years. Little league.
See,
middle school.
That's where
high school.
Yeah, that's where you and I diverge. I can't buy that was a mental mistake.
Ooh,
I can't buy that was a mistake. I'm not qualified to say what is going through his mind.
Right.
But that's why there isn't an explanation the only explanation that could be reasonable would be we have a scheme where the safety goes out. Okay. And that's another thing too. I'm accustomed to defenses that push you towards the sideline. What they want to do is they want to move because it buys the linebackers time to flow to the play. Set the edge. You don't want to get past you, but if they get past you, the sideline's your friend. You want them to run out of room. You want to push him. So that whole thing, if he's going to go kick out the wide receiver so the linebacker can clean it up, I can't buy that, but I could be wrong. The only one that would know, because you and I don't know, is the coaches. But this is a microcosm, and this is only one clip. Okay, now if I were the coach, I can tell you right now, I would have every single play that he played, whether it was 22 snaps, 35 snaps, 50 snaps, whatever it is, I would ISO every single snap, and I would actually ISO every single snap on the defense, on each player, and every single snap on the offense. I would have my editor guys ISO all of it, and anything that looked unusual, because this, my friend, is unusual. This is not, I don't think that I've seen anything like this in my 30 years of watching college football or professional football, period. Not caught on tape like that. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I'm just saying I've never seen anything like that ever. And it defies
it's not and it's not like the receiver who has the ball was setting up for a pitch. I mean, I was even trying to think through that. I said, well, maybe he thought he was going to pitch it. But wait a minute. The guy had tucked it.
That's right.
It's on his right-hand side. He is showing no indication whatsoever that he's going to do anything but run with that ball. Right?
Yes.
And it wasn't, because I read one article, someone said, well, he got juked. No,
he did not get juked. He did not get juked.
This guy didn't make a juke move.
No, that's right. To get juked, you got to make a juke move.
Yeah.
That's true, Robert.
This guy caught the ball, he ran, then he planted his foot and started coming up field. 26, Hall was there.
Yes.
He was looking at him eye to eye.
Yep. He was squared up with him. He was squared up. He turned his hips to avoid him. He turned and he looked for the receiver. I wonder if the receiver wasn't there, if he would have just tripped and fell, because he looked for the receiver. He did. So I'm just really curious, because if that's an issue, then I think they need to look at every defensive player on the team and see if that's happening elsewhere. And you cannot accept, regardless of the motivation, you cannot accept that type of play on the field. It's not up to the coaches to find out what happened. If the explanation isn't good enough, that's the only thing they need to do. Then they got to sit them. Because you cannot be confident in a player like that. And you got plenty. You got Kitchens, who's a tremendous safety, who can come in and take his place immediately. You've got Williams, who's playing. You've got Bubba Bolden. You can even put Carter back. You can do whatever you want, but you have plenty of players that can come in and play. that guy's got to sit. And, and that being said, because we're running a little long, I want you to go ahead and I'll give you my quick recap. And then I want you to recap what your thoughts are going into Connecticut, and any stats that you have or whatever you want to share with us, please do. And I'm going to leave this on the screen because I want it to be burned into the image, in the minds of our listeners and our viewers. I want that image burned into their minds.
Yeah. Okay. Hit those double arrows. I think that those double arrows at the bottom right, they're hit. I think it'll go full screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me play one more time that way.
Yeah, please. Yeah, because I think
Robert.
your point is valid, is that you want this etched in everyone's mind. Look, point. Unbelievable.
Do they show who makes the tackle? No, they don't show. They don't show the tackle was finally.
I'm trying to see who the linebacker was that missed it.
I think it was Flag.
Well, Flag is 11, isn't he?
Yeah. Was that 11?
I couldn't tell.
Wait a minute. Hang on.
It's just a missed tackle, an avoided tackle.
But it was an effort. In other words, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. Yeah, that's a missed tackle, like to your point. Here we go. We'll see what it was.
I'm trying to see if there was a juke. Let me see if there was a juke. Okay, I'll play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So let's see. He's okay.
There's no juke there.
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 No, he's
running towards him.
He's running towards him.
He's not trying to avoid the tackle. Okay, now he goes sideways. Now he's moving and he mirrors him. He mirrors him. He mirrors him. So he didn't get juked.
Not yet.
Nope. Okay. He mirrors him there. He's trying to avoid him. He could make the tackle right there. And what does he do? He turns around. Watch. Right there, he's in position to make the tackle. Watch. Ooh, I don't want to hit you. Ooh, let me square my toes. Ooh, I got to put on the brakes. Ooh.
And the reason why I said, and you pointed this out, it was a small little comment that you made, but it's very, if it was a juke, his left arm would have come out, I would think.
Yes.
Oh, okay, but you know, I still want to tackle you. So I would take my left arm and try to tackle him. But it was a right-hand turn.
No, not just that. Look at his toes. You go on your toes when you want to stop. He's stopping there. He's on his toes because he's changing direction. He turns his knees to the right. He stops, plants, and goes to the right. There's no juke there. Watch this.
No, there's no shake there.
Right, and then he plants. The guy's still in front of him. The guy's still in front, and then he goes in the opposite direction. Look at that. He almost stripped him. He almost stripped him. This is the most telling video evidence right here.
And the other thing is that his eyes right here are fully off of him.
Oh, he's fully off him. He's like, I don't care about the running back. I'm looking at the wide receiver. I'm done.
This is going to be talked about for some time.
But wait a minute. Let's look at this. Let's look at. Oh, and then is he putting the hand in the face of the wide receiver?
Yeah, the wide receiver is baffled. He's like, "What?"
No, but he's almost a face mask.
Yeah.
Okay, now he goes into the wide receiver, but I want to see who the running back is, who the linebacker is that hits him. Okay, so now he's two steps away from Hall. He's making his run. Okay, see if you can see the number on the jersey.
Yeah,
the guy's behind him. Yeah, man, that guy wasn't able to catch up to him. That was an effort. He tried to get him.
I can't see who that is.
No, I can't see who it is either.
Well, it was a missed tackle as well. So anyway, this will be etched. Yeah, if you want to leave that up so that can be etched in our minds for some time. Oh boy. So I have a good friend. Yeah. I have a good friend that called me during the game and asked me if I saw it. And you and I were sitting next to one another, and I said, no, I didn't see it. And he was like livid. He was like, man, you gotta see it. So sure enough, I see it this morning. So final thoughts. Next week's game, right? I believe Manny used short-term wholesale changes, or there's going to be some significant changes or something along those lines, right? It better be, because we're not getting it done now, right? We haven't gotten it done in 3 games. That's right, App State included. I think that they need to leverage this opportunity to rest, not bench, but rest King. Rest King. You have a short turnaround. You play Virginia on a Thursday night. That's 1. 2, you need to start getting these other quarterbacks some reps. You also need to give Cody Brown some reps. And you're right. I'm looking at the stats. Not 1 carry. Why not? Not 1 pass to him. Right? We're already thin at running back. Chaney's not coming back anytime soon. Knighton is going to be back for the Virginia game. You need to have a 3 running back rotation.
You need to have Franklin in the mix. They need to get both those guys ready.
I would go that far. And Saturday's game will be the game. It's coming at a good time to rest King, get Tyler Van Dyke into game situations, game management, calling plays, leading the team. You need to get Cody in there. You need to get Franklin in there. Hall needs to sit.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Maybe 2 or 3 games. He needs to sit.
Robert, that's where you and I are a little bit different.
I know.
For me, Hall would be the water boy for the rest of the season. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, I'd even go further. He'd be off the team.
Wow.
But I understand your point. I would not do that. I would actually make him 3rd or 4th team. The problem that I see with that is if he can't explain what happened, that's a cancer on the team. Could be a cancer on the team. And culture's a big deal. So they have a problem on their hands. And you and I are aware of Hall because of the video. There could be other issues on the team that we're not even aware of. So I think they're gonna have to button this thing up. But for sure, he would not see the field. I don't care if you have a true freshman. I don't care what. He would not get on the field. For me anyway, until that issue is totally resolved to satisfaction. And I don't know that it can be. Again, I'm going to put it out there. I have no idea. Okay. I'm just giving you my sentiment, but my eyes don't lie. It's that whole story is look with your eyes. Don't believe your lying eyes. Well, I believe my lying eyes. Okay. Now I could be wrong and there could be some explanation, but maybe there's another camera angle we're not seeing. I don't know. There could be another
there's
camera.
No other camera angle. That angle alone showed everything that we needed to see. So my thoughts are just that it needs to be some changes. It'd be a good time to get some changes. Rest King, give these other players some reps, and get ready for ACC play. Not that we're overlooking this game, but you need to give these guys some reps. Because who said Harris is going to make it through the entire ACC schedule? I mean, it's a game of football. Anything can happen. Mm-hmm. All right? Because Knighton is not going to be able to carry the load if something happens to Harris. You don't want the first time, Brown touches the ball is in a North Carolina game.
No, or a Virginia game.
Well, yeah, that's right. Although he should touch the ball, he should have touched the ball this game.
Absolutely.
You only have one starting running back and you didn't give the other one even a chance, not even feel it, feel that leather. I mean, run, get hit, make a mistake. These are coaching opportunities. So
you remember what Red Lashley said? We're going to go with the hot hand. Okay. There was no hot hand.
There was no hot hand.
So if Cam Harris ain't getting it done, I expect you to pull another running back in there. Okay.
Yes.
And try it out. The hot hand. I didn't see any of that. So I don't know. There's a culture issue, but you look at that and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So, Anyway, we'll leave it at that. I'm going to give you my final thoughts. I agree with you on everything. I couldn't agree with you more. I thank you for bringing this out and sharing this with me and us having the discussion. Appreciate and I love going to the game with you and looking at the field and watching the play and analyzing it. And Robert, I agree with you. Next week there has to be I don't want to see King in the lineup. If you've got to let that kid heal up. If you're going to have any kind of a chance. And I'm not even convinced that the shoulder injury that he'll be ready for the Virginia game. Okay, I'm not convinced. I saw the press conference.
Neither am I.
Convinced. So listen, your best chance is a 100% D'Eriq King, right? So if you need somebody to ride you for 2 or 3 games to ride, then you better have confidence in that quarterback and you had better put him in, because now there's no excuse unless what you got back there, we've been lied to, ain't that great, or or can't run, or your offensive line is so horrible that you're afraid that you're going to injure one of the quarterbacks back there, which King's already. So we'll see what happens. But I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. I want to thank you, my brother. You're the best. Go Canes. And listen, always said we love our Canes. I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying.
Always.
I love Hall. I love the team, but that's inexplicable. And I'd like an explanation. Well, not me. I'd like to know if there is an explanation. It'd be nice if it was made public, if it's a reasonable explanation. If it's not reasonable, you don't need to tell us. You just don't play them.
Yeah. I think that the public result of this is if we'll see him on the field. If we see him on the field, this game or the next couple games, it's like, okay, this coaching staff.
Oh, for me, if we see him on the field, Robert, then I'm all in on the replace Manny Diaz. I hate to say it, but because I like Manny Diaz and but if he's starting or in the rotation, I got to be honest with you, then I think we have a coaching issue, a real big coaching issue. Yeah. Right now, there are some issues, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. But if he's in the rotation and there's no explanation as to, in other words, he doesn't come out and defend what happened, then we got a problem.
Yep. And I would say that if we see King,
yes,
if Cody's not running, if we're not seeing these type of changes, when we say we're going to see wholesale change, we're going to really, if we don't see those.
Agreed. Well, listen, brother, God bless you. Go Canes.
Go Canes.
We look forward to seeing you guys next week, and we'll be at that game. So we'll share. I think it's at home, right?
Yep. It's a 12:20, 12:30 kickoff. So yes, Frankie, you and I will be there.
Awesome. God bless you, my friend. Robert, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you then, my friend. God bless.